Here's more wrestling news for September 13th, 2021. And your headlines for this afternoon include: Ruby Soho was already an AEW fan long before WWE release. Collection of Hulk Hogan's many lies over the years goes viral. WWE's banned words list gets an update. Seth Rollins calls out fan wearing CM Punk t-shirt during WWE live event. WWE wrestler vents after her travel weekend from hell. Bryan Danielson has a notebook full of things he learned from Vince McMahon. Donald Trump asks how Bobby Lashley is doing. Reason why WWE didn't sign Daffney leaked. Wrestler's wife finds staples in her Dunkin' Donuts breakfast wrap, and more. We are kicking off with Ruby Soho, who has impressed AEW fans since debuting at All Out, where she won the Women's Casino Battle Royal. Now, the former Ruby Riott has a guaranteed shot at AEW Women's World Champion Britt Baker, but Soho had her eyes on the wrestling dentist long before they shared a company. Speaking to Sports Illustrated, Ruby discussed watching AEW programming whilst in WWE, saying, "Choosing AEW wasn't a difficult decision. I'd been a fan of AEW long before I left WWE. I could sense there was something very special and very different about this company. Now that I'm here, I'm beginning to realize it was the home I've always been searching for." Calling AEW a critical part of the women's revolution, Ruby Soho may soon be calling herself AEW Women's World Champion. But for now, the ex-superstar is just happy to be with the company she was always meant to work for. As a multi-time world champion and headliner of the first 9 WrestleManias, Hulk Hogan is unquestionably one of wrestling's top stars, but isn't as popular as he once was. At WrestleMania 37, the Hulkster was vehemently booed by the crowd in Tampa, Florida, and now a list of some of Hogan's more dubious claims is getting traction online. On Twitter, a user named Alan compiled a list of Hulk Hogan's tall tales, exaggerations, and lies, which has since gone viral. Some of Hogan's claims include turning down the lead role in 2008's The Wrestler, which director Darren Aronofsky denies, and claiming that Andre the Giant died mere days after the infamous WrestleMania 3 body slam, when the 8th wonder of the world wouldn't pass until nearly 6 years after. Hogan is also claimed to be the one to notice something special in Kevin Owens several years after Owens had made a name for himself on the indie scene. The Hulkster's fabrications border on the offensive, such as claiming that he helped a Make-A-Wish child in England get a seat at SummerSlam in 1992 to watch him in the main event, ignoring the fact that Hogan didn't compete nor was in the UK at the time. From saying he worked 400 nights a year to facing against Pride fighters in the 70s, a few decades before the Pride Fighting Championship was founded, Hogan may never stop telling tales, but fans aren't buying what he has to say. In WWE, commentators and superstars alike are very careful about what they do and don't say because Vince McMahon is always listening for any of his banned words. Over the years, a list of words that are forbidden in WWE have been made public, and now that list has received an update. F4W Online has provided the updated list, which was given to talent who were promoting WrestleMania 37 earlier this year. Banned words include obvious ones such as strangle, kill, and murder, which WWE sponsors wouldn't be pleased to hear, to insider terms like jobber, babyface, heel, and being over. Interestingly, the term diva, which WWE once used constantly, has been banned, as has the term anti-diva, which was Paige's nickname back when she was competing. You won't be hearing any wrestlers be called violent, or ever be called wrestlers for that matter, as Vince McMahon knows exactly what he wants to hear from his sports entertainment superstars on TV. One name you certainly won't be hearing on WWE TV is CM Punk, who debuted for AEW on the August 20th Rampage, 7.5 years after he walked out of WWE. Punk has already drawn a lot of fans to AEW, many of whom are tired of WWE style, but Seth Rollins isn't cool with the Second City Savior. During a live event in DC, Rollins lost to Big E and took his frustrations out on a fan in the front row who was wearing a CM Punk t-shirt. Telling the fan that Rollins didn't mince his words, but Big E was there to give the fan a handshake. Time will tell if WWE allows any references to Punk on their TV, but it's doubtful considering that the company has almost avoided referencing AEW, but you never know when someone might go off script. At Extreme Rules, Alexa Bliss has the opportunity to become a champion once again, as she'll face Raw Women's Champion Charlotte Flair with the title on the line. As a top superstar in WWE, Bliss is used to traveling the world, but recently had a weekend from hell on the road. In a tweet, Bliss vented about her nightmare travels, which included her flights being canceled and no rental cars being available, saying she didn't miss this part of being on the road when WWE was stuck in the Thunderdome. A few minutes later, Bliss fired off another tweet saying she'd suffered another delay as it definitely wasn't her day. Hopefully, Bliss was able to make it where she needed to be on time, and her journeys can only get better after this weekend from hell. At AEW All Out 2021, Bryan Danielson made his debut for the company in one of the biggest signings for Tony Khan. Whilst AEW has a ton of ex-superstars, Bryan is a rare case in that he's not badmouthed WWE in a promo, and there's a special reason for that. During Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer explained just how much respect Bryan has for WWE and for Vince McMahon, saying, "He's got like a notebook full of things he's learned from Vince McMahon over the years. Every time he learns something from Vince, he writes it down. He's got a book of things he's learned from Vince McMahon. He has incredible respect for Vince McMahon." WWE did all they could to get Bryan to stay, even offering him the chance to wrestle in New Japan's G1 Climax, but the former world champion left, believing his departure would benefit the wrestling industry. Now Bryan Danielson is all elite and is already in the world title picture, but don't expect him to take any petty shots at WWE, who were good to him for so many years. From wrestling to boxing next, as former President Donald Trump provided play-by-play at last Saturday's Triller boxing event, which was headlined by Vitor Belfort vs. Evander Holyfield. Calling the action alongside former WWE announcer Todd Grisham, the WWE Hall of Famer reminisced on his time working alongside Vince McMahon and asked how Bobby Lashley was doing. Older fans will remember that Trump and McMahon both put their hair on the line at WrestleMania 23, and after Lashley defeated McMahon's representative Umaga, the chairman was shaved bald in 2007. Grisham responded by saying that Lashley is doing well and is the current WWE champion, and the Almighty is now over 6 months into his reign. As for the fight, Belfort defeated Holyfield in the first round in what was a dominant performance, and it's interesting to see that over 14 years later, the ex-president hasn't forgotten about his almighty WrestleMania representative. On September 1st, former wrestler/manager Daffney tragically died aged 46, and an outpour of support has been shared online since then. Daffney was best known for her time in WCW and TNA, but despite her skills, never made it to WWE. During Figure 4 Daily, former WCW, ECW, and WWE superstar Lance Storm recalled a time where Chris Jericho tried to get Daffney a job in WWE, but the company refused for an interesting reason. "I can't recall a time I didn't see her where she appeared happy, where she was smiling and making everyone around her smile and be happy as well. Not that I knew her that well, but there was also the connection in that Jericho knew her really well because she, at one point, was married to Jericho's bandmate from Fozzy. The one story about Daffney I think is funny is Jericho tried to get her into WWE post-invasion. I remember him telling me that he went and suggested her, and the response he got from whoever it was in the office that he talked to said, 'Yeah, we really don't like that screaming thing.' He said, 'Well, then tell her not to scream.' It's like, she doesn't have to scream. It's not the only thing she knows how to do." Daffney is sadly no longer with us and has since been cremated in a small ceremony which included Mia Yim, Mickie James, and Leva Bates. But those who remember her will always remember the smiling, happy woman above anything else. And we're ending today with Sanjay Dutt, who joined AEW shortly after leaving WWE, but that drama's nothing compared to a recent incident involving his wife's breakfast. On Twitter, the retired wrestler shared a photo of his wife's meal from Dunkin' Donuts, which included a stack of staples in her breakfast wrap, something the couple definitely didn't order. Questioning how this could possibly happen, Dutt later tweeted that Dunkin' Donuts are dealing with this situation and that the location's manager offered his wife another free breakfast wrap. We have to wonder if the Dutts took the manager up on that offer, and if so, we can only hope that this was a stationary free meal for Sanjay and his wife. Well guys, that's our news for today. Please share your comments below. Also hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to receive all notifications. And as always, thanks for watching.